The movie kicks off with three guys out hunting in the woods. They're having a good time, but then one of them, Dale, decides to go off on his own to chase after an animal he spotted. He's all excited, thinking he's gonna bag himself a big one. Dale finally finds the animal and gets ready to take his shot. He's all set, finger on the trigger, when out of nowhere, this huge bald dude shows up. Before Dale can even blink, the bald guy pushes him right off a cliff. Just like that, Dale's a goner. Now, this bald dude isn't just some random killer. His name's Ryan Verrett, and he used to be a cop. But he's not interested in upholding the law anymore. Nope, Ryan's got one thing on his mind: revenge. See, a few years back, his whole family got wiped out, and Dale was one of the guys responsible. Ryan's been hunting down everyone involved, and Dale was just the latest to get crossed off his list. After taking care of Dale, Ryan hops in his car and drives to this tiny town called Hope. Now, Hope might sound like a nice place, but don't let the name fool you. This town's got problems, big ones. It's pretty much run by this nasty biker gang that's got everyone scared, even the sheriff. Ryan knows all about this, but he doesn't give a hoot. He's got his own agenda, and a bunch of mean bikers aren't gonna stop him. When Ryan rolls into Hope, his first stop is the gas station. He needs to stock up on supplies and figure out where he can crash for the night. The guy running the place, Kirby, tells him about the only motel in town. It's run by this young woman named Darcy, and it's usually empty cause most folks steer clear of Hope if they can help it. When Ryan shows up at the motel, Darcy's pretty surprised. She can't believe someone's actually brave or crazy enough to come to Hope on purpose. Ryan just shrugs it off, saying he's got business to take care of. He doesn't go into details, and Darcy doesn't push it. Meanwhile, there's this FBI special agent named Frank who's been trying to catch Dale for ages. Dale wasn't just a killer. He was a rapist too. Frank and his team are in the middle of planning their next move when another agent bursts in with some big news. Dale's been found dead. Frank's shocked, wondering who could have taken out a guy like Dale. The movie then takes us back in time, showing us why Ryan's on this whole revenge kick. We see Ryan back when he was still a cop, at this big party with his family and friends. Everyone's having a great time, laughing and joking around. But then, out of nowhere, a bunch of criminals show up and start shooting the place up. The guy leading the attack is this real piece of work named Drake Santiago. Drake's got a major grudge against cops because they locked him up before. So now he's out for payback, trying to kill as many cops and their families as he can. Ryan was one of the main guys Drake was after. The scene is total chaos, people screaming, running, trying to find cover. Ryan's doing his best to protect his family, but he's outnumbered and outgunned. In the end, Ryan gets shot, but somehow, he's the only one who makes it out alive. His family, his friends, they're all gone. Back in the present, Ryan's cruising around Hope, checking things out. He spots a bunch of bikes parked outside this building and decides to take a closer look. Just then, one of the gang members comes out, all hot and bothered because there's a dog barking at him. The guy's so mad he pulls out his gun, ready to shoot the poor dog. Ryan's not about to let that happen. Quick as lightning, he steps in and teaches the biker a lesson he won't forget anytime soon. Let's just say the guy's gonna be feeling that beating for a while. All the commotion catches the attention of the other gang members inside. They come pouring out to see what's going on. And who should be with them but Drake himself, yeah, the same Drake who killed Ryan's family. But here's the kicker, Drake doesn't recognize Ryan. Makes sense, though Drake's killed so many people, they probably all blur together in his mind. Even though Ryan just beat the snot out of one of his guys, Drake decides to let it slide. He's got bigger fish to fry right now. But he's not stupid, he knows something's off about Ryan. So he tells his little brother, Rexo, to keep an eye on the bald stranger. The next day, Rexo's got some news for Drake. Turns out there's this club owner in town who's refusing to pay the security fee the gang charges. Drake's not happy about this, not one bit. So he comes up with a plan. He challenges the club owner to a one-round boxing match. If the owner wins, Drake promises to never ask for the security fee again. Now, Drake might be getting on in years, but don't let that fool you. The guy's still tough as nails. He beats the much bigger club owner like it's nothing. But here's where it gets interesting. Drake decides to let the guy live. It's not because he's gone soft or anything, nah. Drake's just thinking about the bottom line. Can't get money out of a dead man, after all. The gang's got their fingers in all sorts of pies to make money. Besides the security fees, they've got this big meth lab going. Rexo's supposed to be keeping an eye on the lab, but he's also got to watch Ryan. Talk about a full plate. That night, Rexo swings by Darcy's motel. He's fishing for info, trying to find out if a big bald guy named Ryan is staying there. Darcy's not having it, though. She refuses to give up any info about her guests. But Rexo's not the type to take no for an answer. He starts threatening Darcy, saying he'll send her straight to hell if she doesn't spill the beans. Little does Rexo know, Ryan's right there at the motel, and he hears everything. Ryan's not about to let some punk threaten a lady, so he steps in. And by steps in, I mean he beats Rexo to a pulp. As Ryan's laying into Rexo, Darcy tries to warn him. She tells Ryan that Rexo isn't just some random gang member, he's Drake's little brother. If Drake finds out what happened to Rexo, he'll be out for blood. But Ryan, he couldn't care less. He's got a plan, and he's sticking to it. He grabs Rexo, ties him to a car, and sends the whole thing crashing into the gang's meth lab. The lab goes up in flames, and Rexo along with it. Ryan watches the whole thing burn, feeling pretty pleased with himself. It doesn't take long for Drake and his gang to notice the explosion. They come racing to the scene, but there's nothing they can do except watch their lab go up in smoke. When Drake finds out his brother died in the blast, he loses it. The guy's absolutely fuming. Not long after, the sheriff and one of his deputies show up to check out what happened. Drake and his gang are still there, and when Drake spots the sheriff, he marches right up to him. Drake's not even trying to hide what happened instead. He straight up threatens the sheriff. He tells him that if he tries to stick his nose in the gang's business, Drake will kill the sheriff's whole family. The sheriff, scared out of his wits, doesn't even try to argue. He figures if he lets the gang do whatever they want, maybe he can stop things from getting even worse in town. It's not a great plan, but the poor guy's out of options. The next day, Ryan's back at it. This time, he's got his sights set on one of the gang's meth trucks. He follows it real quiet-like, waiting for the right moment. When he sees his chance, he takes out the truck's tire. The driver has to pull over and get out to check what happened. As soon as the driver's out of the truck, Ryan makes his move. He jumps the guy, smashing his head against the car door. Then, just for good measure, he blows up the whole truck. It's a big, fiery message to Drake and his gang. Ryan's not messing around. One of the gang members spots the explosion and runs to tell Drake. When Drake hears about it, he hits the roof. That truck was carrying a ton of meth, which means Drake just lost a boatload of cash. He's dead set on finding out who's behind all this, and he's got a pretty good idea it's Ryan. To get to the bottom of things, Drake decides to bring Kirby, remember him, the gas station owner, into the mix. He has his guys grab Kirby and bring him to their hideout. Drake tells Kirby he wants him to dig up dirt on Ryan, find out who he really is. If Ryan turns out to be the guy causing all this trouble, Drake's gonna kill him. Kirby's scared out of his mind, but he knows he doesn't have a choice. He's gotta do what Drake says, or he might end up dead too. That same day, Kirby starts poking around, trying to find out more about Ryan. He figures the best place to start is Ryan's car, which is parked near the motel. Kirby's hoping he might find some clues about who Ryan really is. But wouldn't you know it, just as Kirby's rifling through Ryan's car, Ryan himself shows up. Kirby nearly jumps out of his skin. He's so nervous. Thinking fast, he invites Ryan over to his place for a drink. Kirby's house isn't far from the motel, and he's hoping he can get Ryan talking, maybe find out what he's really doing and hope. Ryan, though, he's nobody's fool. He can smell a trap from a mile away, and this whole situation stinks to high heaven. He's not about to fall for Kirby's act. Ryan knows he's got to be careful, he's in enemy territory, and one wrong move could mess up his whole plan for revenge. Ryan's not beating around the bush. He straight up asks Kirby why he was snooping around in his car. Kirby, feeling like he's caught between a rock and a hard place, spills the beans. He tells Ryan that Drake, the big bad biker boss, told him to dig up dirt on Ryan. Just as Kirby's finishing his confession, they hear a motorcycle pulling up outside. It's one of Drake's goons, a guy named Crab. This dude's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's itching for a fight with Ryan. Now, you might think this is gonna be some epic showdown, but nah. Ryan takes care of Crab faster than you can say, "Motorcycle Mama." But here's the thing, Ryan doesn't finish him off. He lets Crab go, probably thinking it'll send a message to Drake. While all this is going down, Drake's not sitting on his hands. He's doing some digging of his own, chatting up the sheriff. And boy, does he hit pay dirt. The sheriff spills that Ryan used to be a cop, but he quit after his family got murdered. Drake's all smiles, thanking the sheriff and even slipping him some cash for the info. Later that night, when everyone's supposed to be catching some Z's, Drake and his crew roll up to Kirby's house. Poor Kirby's fast asleep, no idea what's coming. Drake's not happy that Kirby couldn't find anything juicy about Ryan. So, being the stand-up guy he is, Drake decides Kirby's gotta pay. He tells Crab to take care of Kirby, and by take care, we all know he means kill. The next morning, Ryan finds out about Kirby biting the dust. He doesn't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out it was Drake's gang who did the deed. Ryan's not wasting any time with grief or shock. Nope, he's all about action. He heads straight to one of Drake's clubs and starts handing out beat-downs like they're party favors. Every gang member in the place gets a taste of Ryan's fists. But Ryan's not done yet. He grabs Crab, the same guy he fought earlier, and stuffs him in the trunk of his car. Then, without breaking a sweat, Ryan kills Crab and dumps his body right in front of the gang's HQ. It's like he's sending a postcard, but instead of "wish you were here," it says, "you're next." When Drake sees his favorite goon dead as a doornail, he loses it. He's spitting mad, telling all his remaining guys to grab their guns and get ready for a manhunt. Drake's gonna find Ryan if it's the last thing he does. That night, over at the motel, Darcy's on edge. She hears some weird noises outside and starts thinking the worst. She grabs her shotgun, ready to blast anyone who tries to break in. But Ryan's got a hunch it's trouble coming their way. He tells Darcy to duck behind the reception desk and stay low. The front door creaks open, slow and ominous. Drake's men start creeping in, thinking they've got the drop on Ryan. But our boy Ryan's got a plan. He waits until they're all bunched up, then yells at Darcy to kill the lights. The room goes pitch black, and all hell breaks loose. There's gunfire, shouting, the whole 9 yards. When Darcy flips the lights back on, it's like a scene from a slaughterhouse. All of Drake's men are down for the count, and Ryan, he's standing there without a scratch on him, cool as a cucumber. Ryan knows they can't stick around. The motel's not safe anymore, so he grabs Darcy and they make a break for it. But here's where things go sideways. Ryan's so focused on getting away, he doesn't realize Drake's got more men waiting outside. They jump Ryan, and it's not pretty. They beat him so bad he's seeing stars and passes out. When Ryan comes to, he's face to face with Drake. Turns out, they've been taken to the gang's headquarters. Ryan's all tied up to a chair, can't move an inch. Drake's feeling pretty cocky, telling Ryan he's gonna kill both him and Darcy. But first, Drake says he's gonna have some fun with Darcy. It's clear he's planning something nasty. Drake orders one of his thugs to rough up Ryan while he takes Darcy to the back room. The goon starts wailing on Ryan, having a grand old time. But here's where Ryan pulls his ace out of the sleeve. Somehow, he manages to untie himself. Before the thug knows what's hit him, Ryan's free and fighting back. He knocks the guy out cold. Now Ryan's on a mission. He's got to find Darcy and get the heck out of Dodge. Turns out, the gang's HQ is on a ship. As Ryan's searching, he runs into more of Drake's men. But Ryan's like a one-man army. He takes them all down, barely breaking a sweat. Finally, Ryan finds Darcy. The poor girl's all tied up with duct tape over her mouth. Ryan frees her, and they start looking for a way off this floating nightmare. But Drake's not about to let his prisoners waltz out the door. He's blocking their escape, ready for the final showdown. Ryan knows this is it, the big finale. He tells Darcy to make a run for it while he faces Drake. Before they start throwing punches, Drake drops a bombshell. He says he remembers Ryan now he was that cop whose family Drake killed way back when. Drake thought Ryan had died too, But surprise, surprise! What follows is one heck of a fight. Ryan and Drake are going at it like two bulls in a china shop. They're throwing punches, kicking, grappling, you name it. It's a real slobberknocker. Ryan's holding his own, even getting the upper hand. He knocks Drake down, and for a second, it looks like it's all over. But Drake's got one last trick up his sleeve. Just when Ryan thinks he's won, Drake jumps up and grabs a knife. He's trying to backstab Ryan, literally. It's looking pretty dicey for our hero. But then, out of nowhere, Agent Frank from the FBI shows up. Talk about perfect timing. Frank doesn't hesitate. He puts a bullet in Drake before the biker boss can shish kebab Ryan. Turns out, the FBI had come to hope to shut down Drake's operation. They'd heard about how the gang was terrorizing the town and decided it was time to step in. Now, you might think Jabber in trouble with the law. After all, he did take out quite a few of Jabber men. But Frank's not your average by-the-book FBI jibber. He sees the good Ryan's done, how he's Jabber clean up the town. So Frank decides to let Jibber walk. He figures the police could use someone like Ryan on their side, even if Jabber not officially on the force anymore. Ryan doesn't stick around for a thank you Jibber. He says his goodbyes and hits the road, but not before promising Frank they'll meet again Jabber. It's like he's leaving the door open for a Jibber, you know. But wait, the Jabber not quite over yet. We get one last scene of Ryan and Jibber. He's raiding some place, guns Jabber, taking out a papaya of people. Who are these unlucky Jibber? They're Drake's remaining freedom, the Jabber who helped kill Ryan's family all those years ago. Ryan's not done with his revenge Jibber just yet. He's gonna make sure every last person involved in his Jibber murder pays the price. So, Jabber the freedom from all this. Well, if freedom Jabber about going up against a whole gang by yourself, you better make sure you've got a few things going for you. First, it helps if you're an ex-cop with some serious Jabber skills. Second, you need a good reason like avenging your Jabber family. And third, it doesn't hurt to have a flair for the Jabber. I mean, Ryan's basically turned Jabber into his calling card at this point. But Jibber aside, the movie's really about how far someone will go for justice or revenge, depending on how you look at it. Ryan's lost everything, and he's willing to Jabber it all to make things right. Is what Jibber doing papaya? Jibber no. But in a town where the law's too Jibber to do anything, sometimes it takes an outsider to shake things up. The movie also Jibber how one person can make a difference. Ryan didn't set out to be a hero, but by taking on Drake and his Jabber, he freed an entire town from their grip of fear. Sometimes, the line between hero and Jabber is pretty blurry. In the end, Hope, which is a pretty ironic name for the town, when you think about it, is left better off than it was before Ryan Jibber up. The corrupt biker gang is gone, the Jabber cleaned house, and the townspeople can finally breathe easy. Sure, there's probably a lot of ointment to do both Jabber and emotionally, but at least now they've got a chance at a fresh start. As for Ryan, well, his Jibber not over. He's still got Jibber on his hit list, people to track down. You gotta wonder if he'll ever find peace, or if he's doomed to keep chasing revenge until there's no one left to Jabber. Maybe that's something they'll explore in the Jibber if there is one.